Okay, black people, it's starting. Obviously, or not so obviously, the picture you see in front of you is a picture of Ray Tenzing, and he was the officer who shot and killed Sam Debose. Now, it didn't matter that this man was out of his jurisdiction. It didn't matter that he was making a traffic stop for a taillight, license plate, something of that order. Didn't matter that there was videotape that absolutely contradicted everything that he said. The jury, which was made up of 6 white men, 4 white women, and 2 black women, couldn't arrive at a decision on murder charges or even manslaughter charges. Now, the report is that they were fairly close to manslaughter charges. When you have absolute video evidence that this guy lied and that this guy killed this man over a license plate or a taillight, and again, I'm not really sure, what he was stopped for, that this officer was operating out of his jurisdiction, that this officer was wearing a white Confederate flag underneath his uniform. All that tells me is, Black America, get ready, because there are a certain segment of the population, i.e. white people, who no matter what are never going to convict a white police officer of anything. Now, I was scanning the internet and I came across a whole lot of stories where the evidence was incontrovertible about the guilt of a police officer. Yet, there are hung juries everywhere, for the most part. Yeah, every so often, there are some that are just so totally outrageous, and the juries that are picked just can't see themselves letting somebody off. But for the most part, anytime you have a police officer that goes on trial, every, and I do mean every, benefit of the doubt is given to that police officer to the point of fantasy land. Now, we've had various trials, if they've even gotten that far, but when they have gotten that far, various trials where video evidence basically calls the officer's account lies. Now, we got that situation in Chicago that proved without a doubt that the officer lied, and they're going to stretch this out 2 to 3 years. We recently had, within the last couple of days, Philando Castile's officer has been indicted and will stand trial. But again, all that is standing trial. These prosecutors sometimes are putting on weak-ass cases, but when you have juries, white people who are predetermined that they are going to find any way under the sun to stand their ground in the face of incontrovertible evidence that somebody's guilty, then there basically is no chance for justice. So now I'm waiting to see whether they're going to retry Tenzing. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with that officer up in Chicago. They got him cold. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with that officer in South Carolina that shot that man in the back. There are tons of these. And the only ones we really hear about are the ones where there's video evidence that firmly disputes the accounts of these officers. Now, I'm going to bring up a case that occurred last year. This is a case where a husband and wife who were both part of the Metro Police Department out of Louisville came outside in their pajamas because a black man was repossessing a car from one of their neighbors. They came outside in their pajamas. No uniforms, no nothing. Well, the wife straight out lied about the entire account. What she didn't know was that there was video of the entire account. And the video completely eviscerates her testimony. She did go to trial, okay, for intentionally making false statements. And there was no doubt, just looking at the video, that what she said was exactly the opposite of what happened. But, as usual, the jury was split down the middle in her perjury trial. And they were unable to conclude that she intentionally made false statements to the grand jury. But the video basically shows that all of her statements are false. Now, unless she was on marijuana or Quaaludes or LSD or whatever, her sworn statements were out of fantasy land. Yet and still, the jury could not find her guilty of perjury. So again, get ready, because with Trump coming in with his law and order bullshit and these juries feeling empowered to let these cops off, we are going to see a hell of a lot of this. So we're going to have to go through this crap for at least 4 years. And based on what happens with the Supreme Court, it may be a hell of a lot longer.